It's just not good.
All right. Looks like we are live. Okay, guys. Hello, hobby friends, and we are here for a impromptu live post-national Q&A with our friend Kurt Christensen from RVP. What's going on, Kurt?
Hi, David. I'm doing all right. So good to be
Yeah,
back home post national.
yeah, a lot of fun stuff. I mean, I'm excited to hear what you have to say, and thanks guys for being patient. We wanted to do this early in the week, but a lot was happening for everyone. So again, Kurt, appreciate the time, and let's start right out of the gate here. Give us your kind of 101 assessment on. Let's start with the crowd. Was it everything we thought it would be?
Yeah, I think it was. It was without a doubt the most heavily attended national that I've been involved with, and that goes throughout the whole week. I remember the first day the show officially opened on Wednesday afternoon. The crowds Wednesday afternoon looked every bit as much as like a peak Friday or Saturday weekend crowd, if not even more. I mean, the crowds were deep on Wednesday. They were huge on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The attendance was off the charts. And you kept hearing the national over the speakers making some announcements that, literally anything they were doing was sold out. So this VIP stuff or autographs or, it was sometimes hard to hear the full thing they were saying, but it was always everything sold out.
Yeah, or
And,
like some record attendance or something
right.
like that, right? Yeah, yeah.
And they made some of those announcements too. And I didn't pick up on if they said total numbers, but they were making announcements that, we expect record attendance. We've seen record attendance. And as an exhibitor, having done a few of these, I have definitely haven't done as many as, other people have, but the few that I've done is by far the biggest attended.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really not shocked, and I'm happy to hear at the same time. I mean, obviously there was a lot of uncertainty. How would the market react? It's quite post pandemic, but really it's the first show after the peak of the pandemic. So it's kind of curious to see, but what you had seen, what you were going to see on your side, and how things would turn out. So let me ask you this: in terms of the usual suspects, the crowd, I saw some awesome pictures in the group. It was good to see pretty much everybody that normally attended again this year, right? From the unopened
Yeah,
world.
yeah, the unopened world, the guys that I usually see and meet, I would say 90% of them were there. And that's always great catching up with those guys. I've said that before. That to me, that's the best part about the show is meeting the guys again and the people that you see and you talk to all year long on the groups, but you get to meet them in person. So that was great. Everybody had fun. I think everybody, maybe found a few items they could buy. Some bought some really good stuff. Some maybe were hoping they could find more stuff. But yes, the crowds, the unopened gathering that we had, that definitely was fun. And, we all enjoyed that, especially after not having it last year.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures and some of the things everyone had, and like I was living vicariously through those pictures and some of the videos that some of the great folks in the group posted. Mars attacks with the first question. Did he talk about dinner on Friday night for those who were not in attendance? I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah, so we might address that. The answer to that question maybe tonight.
Here you go. All right. So let me take an opportunity here to ask you this because I'm personally curious on this. What from a buying selling standpoint was the biggest surprise for you? In terms of, like I said, anything buying selling related. What was the biggest surprise?
Yeah, I guess after coming through it, I guess it was what I was anticipating was going to happen. And I'll break this off in a couple sections. Guys that know my booth, I have the RVP stuff, the boxes, the packs, all that's there. But I also split a booth with Brandon and Wayne from Spencer Sports Cards. And, they have totally different inventory. Those guys, have a lot of modern vintage singles, low end stuff. Junk Wax too, but those guys sold record dollars that they've ever done at any national by far, and it wasn't even close. They were selling stuff like you wouldn't believe, and I mean, I was real happy for those guys. The show for them was just a huge success. So that market, you know, the non-graded or the lower dollar graded modern stuff, vintage low-end singles, you know, junk wax sets, set filling 70s, 60s commons was just tremendous for those guys. So that was really nice to see, because there's been some shows where that's been a little tough.
Yeah. That's surprising to hear, and I'm really happy at the same time to hear that, because that's like a testament to like true collectors being out and about still and building sets and everything, right?
Yeah, it was impressive to watch. So, and you know, for them, it was, I mean, that's a lot of $1, $5, $10 transactions. I mean, it just was nonstop. So that was really nice. You know, as far as the RVP thing and what a lot of us, you know, want to talk about, you know, the unopened market, I guess it was more as expected. I kind of mentioned to this, you know, that late 70s through mid 80s market was really soft. Not much of that stuff moved. Other dealers and, you know, booths had some of that, and it used from walking the show throughout the week. It didn't look like a lot of that moved elsewhere either. You know,
yeah,
so
I'm surprised to hear that. You know, I thought the 80s stuff would fly off the shelves.
Shut the door. So, you know, but I didn't bring a lot of that. Because that was my guess. I just was basing that off of website sales and stuff. So thankfully I didn't bring more of that. The stuff that did sell though quite well, a lot of high-end unopened sold really well. Steve Hart, you know, the BBC booth, sold a lot of tremendously rare and great unopened products. The low-end junk wax, the low end, you know, FASC boxes that I was bringing, those.
You did 88, right? I think we were talking pre-national about your 88 Donruss selling out in the first day, right?
It did. I can't say if I sold out of everything, and I cut some deals with some people. You know, I didn't want to take that stuff home, but I sold probably 90% of that stuff that I brought. I may have thought it would have sold a little quicker, but it was still selling, you know, throughout the week. So that stuff sold well. Graded packs. They weren't burning out throughout the show, but I've never had a national was just nonstop, you know, they burn out, but they sold slow and steady throughout the show. Sold a lot of, you know, graded, some 87, 88 Fleer basketball, 81 basketball, did a lot of football packs. One of the days I was wrapping some stuff, and Honeyman was in my booth helping me, and, you know, I just kept looking, and it was about an hour and a half. He just kept digging out packs out of the football case. So, you know, I knew several of those sold some low-end baseball. So, you know, the graded packs sold pretty well, about as expected.
That's good. I mean, I think, you know, to me, I was looking at some of the videos or the pictures, and I see that even with Steve's booth, you know, as well, some of this high end stuff was really moving. But it's good to hear the full in-depth perspective on it, because again, to me, it was such a moving target, Kurt. You know, and I know you were kind of there too, like, you know, between pricing and inventory, it's like what's going to move, what's not going to move. But it's good to hear that overall, it just sounds like, from the vibe I'm getting, right, it was just a good overall show, and a lot of learnings too, right?
Definitely. And then again, as basically every show I've done, the hottest item, and it's been like this every show.
Porcelain cats.
The porcelain cats did sell. It took till Sunday, but it sold Sunday.
There you go.
Non-sport items, I
Non-sport,
mean,
yeah.
there were 2 boxes that didn't sell. I think I took 200 boxes. Literally all. I mean, it was as close to
Wow.
sold out as there ever been. It was just blazing all show long. To low
Yeah.
end cheap $5 boxes, $10, $15 boxes, all the way up to great, $2, $3, $4, $500 80s and 70s non-sport. It just went nuts.
Wow, I mean, I know we've talked in the past, Kurt, and you always told me that non-sport gets like this in all the nationals you've done. It's always had like a boost, right? But that it sounds like it even amplified above that expectation.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I can't quite say why that is. It gets a boost at that show, but this show by far, I've always taken some home. It would sell real well, but I mean, the only box I did not take home was a 79 Incredible Hulk box, and that was just because I was $200 high on it because I didn't really want to sell it. If I would have had a price where it should have been, I mean, it would have been gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, I basically took nothing home, and I've never had that before. So there was some serious interest in non-sports.
That's awesome. I mean, look, we've seen it on the threads, right, and the Facebook group and all that. That there's this tick north on non-sport, but it's good. It's still alive and well right now, and I'm happy to hear that. I'm curious to see if somebody's going to do the porcelain cat box break and see if they get that refractor.
So I don't know where I was on Sunday. I must have been out of the booth, but I did not witness the sale, so
No.
I cannot say who bought it. But when I
That was
got
Honeyman.
back,
That was Honeyman.
when I got back, I looked and I didn't see it. And Brandon said, he says the Cats is sold.
Oh, that is so funny. Oh man. So all right, so talking about, so I got them, obviously. Let's in terms of ranking, I see, not, or if I'm wrong, correct me, non-sport seemed to be the number one, like in terms of popularity. What would you say kind of fell underneath that? Was it basketball, football, baseball, hockey?
I would say, yeah, without doubt, the non-sport is number one, and then I would say the junk wax baseball.
Okay.
Not the FASC low end, just the true junk wax, collector's choice, triple play type stuff. Real low end baseball sold fast and quick, and I was almost out of it before the show even opened.
Wow. Very cool. So outside, let me ask you this. You mentioned before you kind of got an opportunity to walk outside the booth. I saw that awesome video that you and JB posted about you with the Desert Shield pack. What's your take on outside of your booth, the show? Like, in terms of, just an overall 101. I don't want to kind of get into the weeds, but what did you see out there? What was surprising to you? Where did you see like a lot of the traffic going? Give us your take on that.
Yeah, there were 2 things I took away from this show, outside the booth, that I have not necessarily picked on in years past. And the first being the amount of shiny, high-end basketball cards everywhere is insane. I saw more Lukas, Zions, Jaws, Giannis's than I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they looked like they were everywhere. And
Yeah.
I don't dabble in that, but I know enough to know some of that stuff is really expensive.
Yeah.
And there was some really expensive stuff around, but I mean, it was everywhere. I mean, every booth had the whole display cases, filled with, this case was Lukas. This was
Lukas.
I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere on another post that there's 18,000 PSA 10 Luka rookies. So I'm like, it's just the 10s. Forget about the 8s and the 9s. So I'm not surprised that every booth had one.
So that was one observation I have not noticed in the past. The second observation was the amount of, I would say, let's say, 15 to 25-year-olds that were around the show with their big, PSA briefcase holders, carrying around mega dollars in mega new cards in their holders. I mean, it was incredible. it was incredible how many people I saw with big
And
time
all
bucks in
young,
those
all
days.
young kids too.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder. I was doing paper routes at that age and buying 50-cent packs.
And so we would get these people up to our booth, asking if we wanted to buy. So that's how I got a peek in some of this stuff. And, that's not my market. And, the high end basketball isn't what Brandon and Wayne do. They'd buy low ends, but I was shocked with how many kids I saw, carrying around big time dollars in high end, slabs.
That's a real interesting takeaway from the show, and that's definitely something that to me would stick out because historically, I've never ever heard of that, let alone seen it. But it kind of tells you it's something to keep our eye on, right? In terms of market trends. That's something that especially that you have a dotted line. This is, I know it's not your 9 to 5, but it is in theory a business, right? So you kind of keep your eye on what's the trend? What are people buying? What are people selling? So it's kind of interesting to hear suitcases and 15-year-olds and high end cards, right? Because I never would have thought in a million years that I would hear that from you.
The other and we talked about this with the unopened guys at the show.
Yeah.
In this show, maybe more than in years past, because of what we just talked about, so much modern shiny stuff around. This really reaffirms that while our unopened hobby, and we think it has grown with collectors, boy, it is really still a very niche thing. And a show like the National this year really displayed that. Obviously, Steve Hart had tremendous inventory, lots of great stuff. I had inventory. There were a couple other guys, we would know. Terry Brooks had some good stuff. David Glazer was there. Adam had some really good stuff. But there's not much in the show as a whole for unopened. And it's a very small percentage of collectors walking around the show floor actually interested in buying it. And then you got guys that literally have no idea what it is. I don't know how many people ask me, in the graded pack display case, I remember one guy was looking at the graded 87, 88 Fleer basketball packs. They didn't even know they were unopened packs.
Really?
They didn't know what
they were. Were they thinking it was just like a wrapper that was authenticated or something? Or
yeah. I mean, they had no idea. So what it was, and that just gives you some perspective on how few people in the hobby are after the unopened stuff.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's look, our group is big. I mean, we've hit milestones, right, with 10,000 just recently. But to your point, it really is still quite a niche-y part of the hobby. Talking to some other folks in the past too, they say, it's there's a group, and it's a very loyal and core group that are really, really neck deep in it. And then of course you have the breaker element, which is a whole other one. But yeah, it's niche-y, and I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what dominates in these shows is more the breaks, the modern stuff. There must have been segueing a little bit here, those break tables or setups, right, where people can go and just kind of rip right then and there. Did you see a lot of that at the show?
Yeah, there's an entire section of the show that is called the Breakers Pavilion, and they've had this in shows past. But yes, there was a lot of activity there. That thing actually goes till midnight at the show. It's a separate attendance to get in there after hours for that. But he's still throughout the show. I mean, those guys are on their streams and they're shredding product during the show. And you'd see, the people around the other dealers with, if they're buying a Prison Blaster or whatever, ripping stuff. So that there's a huge dynamic there of people and collectors right now going after that modern stuff. And I would say the majority of it is football and
basketball. Panini products. Yeah, the Panini products, right.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, crazy stuff. So I mean, I don't know if you had enough. Another question I had for you was in terms of like the guests at the show, and I don't know if you personally had the opportunity, to maybe get an autograph or see a Hall of Famer. Was there a lot of I didn't see the list personally, but was there a lot of guests in attendance doing autos and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm not going to have a real good answer on that. I just didn't get out to see that. The one thing I will say, though, when we were closing up on Sunday and loading up the trailer,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I saw through some where the autograph station was. I thought I might have saw Emmett Smith and Michael Irvin back signing some football helmets and stuff, but I wasn't going to bury my head in there and confirm. But that was the
Yeah.
the look from the business. Like, God, they look for I had to take a second glance, and I think I could have saw them, but that's about all I can comment on the
Got
autograph
it.
situation.
Cool. So I mean, and so I saw the offline. Let's talk a little bit about after the show. I don't want to put anybody in a bad spot here. But it looked like a lot of fun. I'm a big Scotch whiskey. I saw some nice bottles. I saw some good pictures at the restaurant. You want to chime in a little bit on some of the fun festivities after the show?
So that's part of the deal with the unopened guys, as we mentioned. It's a small niche,
Yeah.
so it's easy to get everybody together to go out to a restaurant. And so there were a couple nights we hit up Gibson's on Tuesday,
Nice.
and then a crew of us went to a Brazilian steakhouse on Friday, and that was where
Yeah.
we had the Mike B celebration. So Mike always liked Glenlivet Scotch. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
So
Glenlivet. Right. Yeah.
a few of us up in my room, I think Jake was there, John Barnes, Bill Sakis, Mike Cerencioni, probably missing a couple other guys. So we had a couple toasts for Mike in the room, and then proceeded to go out to the restaurant.
Very cool. It looks like you guys had a lot of fun. Those pictures were great. And yeah, I love the fact that you guys toasted to our good friend, and just remembering him, and it's cool. Like we were saying before in the pre-interviews, it's the one time a year that we kind of all get together. I say we, I shouldn't say we because I haven't been, but the unopened group gets together, and it's good to remember good folks like that as well. So that's awesome. You guys did that, and more importantly, you guys look like you had a ton of fun, and I imagine you nerded it up for quite a bit talking unopened as well, right?
Definitely.
Now,
Yeah.
no, I was gonna say, did JB do any ripping at the Gibson table this year? I have to ask.
So there was no ripping at the Gibson's table. He bought an 82 rack box to possibly tear into, but that got squashed. So the ripping was, I think, after I pulled that Nolan Ryan from the Desert Shield pack.
Yeah.
Everybody said, anybody else opened something, it might be downhill from there.
You might have a Baez pack.
Yeah. So there was no Gibson's shreds this year.
All right. I'm looking at the comments and funny stuff coming in. There was no Calvin Arnold autograph, unfortunately. That's great. Oh, great. Yeah. So, guys, I mean, unfortunately, this was kind of a brief impromptu post. Kurt, I really thank you for this. And, guys, what we're going to try to do, we haven't firmed it up yet, but Kurt was gracious enough to see if we can maybe do a part 2, some more Q&A later on this evening or tonight, possibly. Kurt, if if it's possible, we'll try to do this again in a little bit.
Yeah, I think we can try to do it tonight. Yeah, we both got stuff we got to run to here, but there's a couple really good stories on buying product at the store, at the show, and some of the stuff that I was offered to me to buy. There'll be some great stories there, and some great time for questions. I got no problem doing another live tonight. So if guys got questions, and there's some stuff to get into on some buying that took place at the show, I think guys will find really interesting.
I'm totally looking forward to hearing that. We'll peg a time. We'll announce it, guys, in a little bit. Have your questions ready. Again, this was a quick impromptu one, but we'll definitely get back on camera here a little later. So, Kurt, thanks again for your time. Appreciate all the insight, and we'll talk a little bit later.
All right. We'll see you, David. See you, everybody.
All right. Take care, guys.